Have you ever noticed that when you need help from a company, you're a lot less likely to pick up the phone these days? Instead, you find yourself just starting to type. Today, we're diving into the tech behind that huge shift, the chatbot, and how it completely rewrote the rules for customer service.
Oh man, we have all been there. You've got one single, simple question for a company. You find the number, you dial, and then you just enter the void. The waiting game begins.
You know the drill. You're pressing buttons, trying to navigate these endless menus, listening to that same looping music, and of course, hearing that classic line over and over again. It is a universal frustration, a total time sink that honestly feels like a relic from another era. But what if you could just skip all of that? What if you could get the answers you need right away, any time of day or night? Well, that is the core promise of the chatbot. It's not just some new gadget. It's basically an entirely new front door for businesses. So, what is this technology that's promising to free us from that dreaded phone tree? Let's actually break down what a chatbot really is. Okay, so at its heart, a chatbot is just a program that's built to talk to you. It uses artificial intelligence to figure out what you're asking and then serve up a relevant answer, all while trying to make it feel like a real conversation. And think about the difference this way. Filling out a standard online form, that's kind of like using the self-service checkout at the grocery store. Yeah, it gets the job done, but you're doing all the work. A chatbot, when it's done right, is more like a personal assistant. It guides you, it helps you find what you need, and it makes the whole process feel way easier. That is a huge leap in sophistication. Which, of course, brings us to the really big question. How does a computer program actually hold a conversation? Let's pop open the hood and take a look at the mechanics behind the chat. It's really like a 5-step dance. First, you start the chat. Second, and this is the key part, it uses something called NLP to understand what you just typed. Third, it digs through its massive library of information, its knowledge base, to find an answer. Fourth, it puts together a response that sounds human. And fifth, and this is super important, if it gets stuck, it knows when to say, hey, let me get a real person to help you out. Now let's zoom in on that second step, because honestly, it's the engine that drives this whole thing. Natural language processing, or NLP, is the magic that allows the bot to understand our messy human language. It's not just looking for keywords, it's figuring out what you actually mean, even if you have typos or use slang. This is really the brain of the whole operation. But look, this level of understanding, it didn't just appear overnight. Chatbots have actually gone through a really fascinating evolution, going from simple, rigid scripts to the kind of intelligent, adaptive assistants that we're starting to see everywhere today. And one of the first really big leaps was injecting personality. This quote, which is about Casper's InsomnioBot 3000, really highlights a key shift. The idea was to make bots that weren't just useful, but were actually memorable, something that could help build a brand. And this is just such a brilliant illustration of that idea. So Casper, the mattress company, right, they created a bot specifically for insomniacs to chat with in the middle of the night. It wasn't really about selling mattresses at 3 a.m. It was all about building this quirky, memorable connection with their brand through conversation. But a fun personality only gets you so far if the whole thing feels generic. And this number right here shows why. A huge majority of us, 71%, feel frustrated by impersonal experiences. And that feeling drove the next really crucial evolution. Personalization. And here is exactly what that looks like. Instead of just a, hello, how can I help? Expedia's bot greets a customer by name, and it's ready to pull up their travel plans. Nike's bot doesn't just show you random shoes, it offers up tailored recommendations based on what you like. This is where the chatbot really goes from being a simple tool to a true digital assistant. But the push for a deeper connection didn't stop there. The next frontier was emotion. The latest chatbots can now perform what's called sentiment analysis, which means they aren't just reading your words, they're actually trying to understand the feelings behind them. Okay, so we've got this powerful, personal, and now even emotionally aware technology. But what's the actual impact in the real world? Why are so many businesses jumping on this so fast? Well, the most immediate answer is the bottom line. By bringing in chatbots, some businesses are cutting their customer service costs by up to 30%. That is not a small chunk of change. It's a massive efficiency gain. And it is not just about saving money. I mean, take the luxury eyewear company IU. Their chatbot slashed customer response times by a staggering 86%. And by giving people that instant, helpful support, they didn't just make customers happier. They saw their sales jump by 25%. It just proves that a better experience leads directly to better business.
With results like that, it's really no surprise that this technology is just exploding. The chatbot market is projected to grow by more than 23% year after year.
And that incredible growth, well, it translates into a massive market. By 2028, the chatbot industry is expected to be worth over $15 billion. So yeah, this isn't some niche tech anymore. It's a fundamental part of the modern economy. Which kind of leaves us with one final thought to chew on. We started this whole thing talking about the frustration of waiting on hold, and we've ended up with intelligent, personalized, and even emotionally aware AI assistants. As this technology just keeps getting better and better, you have to ask, could the most helpful, the most efficient, and maybe even the most enjoyable conversations we have with businesses in the future be with a machine?